Dig. Alright, so red-white land destruction. This is a deck where, like, I was wondering if we were playing it too often, but, like, the numbers don't lie, and, like, the YouTube numbers for this deck are constantly just, like, much higher than everything else I play. So, like, obviously, people that watch my content love this deck as much as I do. It's a hoot. Any Grixis today? Yeah, we're going to play a couple different Grixis decks. If you look at the stream title, it lists the decks that we have upcoming on stream, as well as the order in which we're going to be playing them. If you want deck lists for those decks, you can find them in the deck queue on my website. We love other people's page. So if you haven't seen this deck before, this is a control deck that eventually locks its opponents out of the game by destroying all of their lands with either Haphazard Bombardment or Crucible of Worlds plus Memorial to War. And we stay alive against aggressive decks with Clarion, Cleansing Nova, and Star of Extinction. Just mono sweepers. We can't unban Stoneforge Mystic. It would beat all the turn 2 decks running out of the forest. What's going on, PK Jeff? Thanks for the 5 months there. I appreciate it. Welcome back. So without further ado, let's dive into the queue and perfect some people out of the game, shall we? If I was gifted a sub, can I renew the sub when the month is up, or how does it work? Yeah. Yep. Yeah, when you, I think it even gives you the option to renew before the month is up, but you can definitely extend and get sub streaks going. Sub streaks count all sorts of ways, whether they're gifts or prime or paid or all that jazz. Kyle, 6 months in honor, blow up some lands, definitely. This hand's very keepable. It's kind of mediocre if my opponent's playing a control deck, but these cards have text against most things in the format. We were discussing the other day adding Memorial to Glory. I don't think I want to. I think playing more than 4 tapped lands is, more than, this deck has a lot of tapped lands in it already, and I think adding more is probably a mistake. Got some Schwamps over there, eh? Ooh, Dragon Soul Summit, interesting. I would love a Compass. Compass means I hit every land drop for the rest of the game. Do you think the new straight Stone Rain will have a place in this deck? I don't think so, Chalky. And that's something I actually wanted to mention. A couple of people linked me that because we've been calling this deck Land Destruction. This deck's actually a control deck that happens to blow up lands once it's ready to. Target opponent exiles a card from the top of their library until they exile an instant or sorcery. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost, then put cards exiled. Can I beat this card? Can we beat this card? This card's obnoxious. It's like uniquely good against us too, right? Like this card's not even good against normal control because like normal control has a bunch of counter spells in their deck, but our deck just like I'm glad 2 of our Cleansing Novas are in our hand. I'm glad 2 of our Cleansing Novas are in our hand because Nova and killing these would be awkward for us. Oh, they could do this at instant speed too. Do I need to cancel my current sub to switch to Prime? Yeah, if you go into your sub settings, you can disable the auto renew. Bombardment can kill it. That is true. So I don't really want to use Nova to kill it because Nova kills these for me too. Although I guess I could sculpt this game in a little bit of a way where I can like flip both of these and then Nova. Alright, well I mean I guess that takes care of it. I lose my Compass and my treasures, but they lose their wand. I think this is fine for us, right? Like they traded their wand for like a card and a half, kinda. It did hit them, SCTR. Thank you, as always. Let's kill some of your land, shall we? You put this deck up every day because you enjoy it? Is it requested or both? It's definitely a little of both. People have definitely been donating constantly to see this deck be played again and again and again. And I don't complain that they keep adding it. This deck is popular. Alright, so we'll flip the compass over. We'll destroy another land. We'll start activating the Arc. Game's pretty locked up at this point. Has anyone put a version in yet for Future Standard? They have not. I don't really know if this deck gains... This deck doesn't really gain any cards from the new set. I'd have to do a double take again, but I didn't see anything in a glance that like wants to go into this deck. Alright, Invoke the Divine. These sweepers seem mediocre. I'm gonna put some Excellence bindings in. A couple of Fight with Fires. Banefire is actually really good against their wand, right? I don't think it's worth messing up your mana to like try and play a Wrath of God, especially when we already have like 3 reasonable sweepers. If I were to make this deck for best of 1, what would I change? I'd click submit. I think the configuration that we have is very reasonable for best of 1. This is a History of Benalia matchup. This is probably a History of Benalia matchup. They seem to be more controlling. You bring this in as extra threats against the control decks. Burgle, are you still watching? Burgle, if you're still here, I saw your message in Discord. I want to explain to you why what I did there is not a logical inconsistency. Third land here is perfect because it means we get to play the Compass, then hit every land drop for the rest of the game. Hey, Boldwin, thank you for the 14-month resub. I really appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me employed here. This deck's been really good. We've won significantly more than we've lost with this deck. Look at that. Disenchant. You're not so scary now, are you? You big mean wand. No, actually, Marty, you'll understand what I'm about to talk about here. Burgle was annoyed that I was praising Magic for splitting up the dual lands and why it makes sense, but I complained that Hex did the same thing. And Hex split up their dual lands between 2 sets, but they put a rotation in the middle of when they printed them, which is what made it annoying. So, we're definitely boarded incorrectly here. Definitely boarded incorrectly. We weren't really sure what the opponent was doing. And I don't know if they sideboarded into a different deck or if they just, like, drew a different half of their deck. They could have just had a very bad draw game 1. We're still 2 turns off of a Star of Extinction here. They did have a memorial to Folly game 1, which kind of implied they could have had more creatures, I guess. I guess I'm still pretty healthy here, and I'm like flipping these compasses soon. So we're not in too terrible of a spot. I'm taking, this is 9 in play. I guess they could theoretically put lethal into play here. Would Burgle be the Crown's counselor? Something like that. Sweeper. Immortal Sun. So do I bombardment and start hammering their lands here? I think I'm supposed to, right? I think I just play this and then go to 2. Yeah, you did work at work. I responded to you in Discord, Burgle. Oh no! Alright, well, we're dead. Maybe I should have played the Immortal Sun to play around this. I know, it's so upsetting. I try to be consistent. I guess I'm technically not dead on board, right? We're technically not dead on board. These compasses are flipping and we're going to 1. I get to Spires, the 2/3 power dorks. Crime in Stereo. Thanks for the 8-month resub. I appreciate that. Welcome back. I think you should keep me employed here. Yeah, we're gonna draw something like a History of Benalia that should be a sweeper. But again, like, our opponent's playing a Brew and we didn't see any creatures out of them game 1, so I didn't really know what we were supposed to be sideboarding against. So we've got 3 more Star of Extinctions in our deck that can get us out of this. So hopefully we hit one of those. Revitalize also gives us redraws. I've got 3 of those in my deck. Or we could draw some lands. You know, that'll work too. All right, let's get sideboarded properly here. We'll put the Sealaways back in. I cut the Histories. Cut 2 Banefires. Cut the extra Crucible. Definitely want these and this. I probably want all the Clarions, honestly, too. It's probably a Fountain of Renewal matchup. So how many of these other sweepers do I want? Probably enough of them. They likely can't interact with Dawn of Hope, so I probably don't need the extra win cons. Oh, I never updated the Stream Decker. Thanks for the reminder. Deck list should be updated. Need one more cut here. Not bringing the extra one of these. Oh, I could maybe trim Star. Yeah, that could be fine. Seems pretty reasonable. Get to hit all of our land drops in the back of Compass, which is great. Go treasure map on 2, activate map, play Compass on 3. And like, activate map, activate Compass every turn for the rest of the while. Yeah, not surprised to see Compass go away there. I think that's a good take on their part. Although I do have this Revitalize to use my mana with this turn, so that's nice. What bots do I use for chat? I use 1 bot. Or I guess Stream Decker's in there too. The Stream Decker bot and the MTG bot are the 2 that I use. King of all trees with the brand new Prime support. Welcome, welcome. Thanks for shipping your Basil Bucks this way this month. The Reaper, baby. Looking for Sealaways and Sweeper effects. Not looking for a Bombardment yet. Need to flip the treasure map next turn, which means I get to Star of Extinction them in 2 turns. Still pretty healthy thanks to Revitalize. Chaos Wand. I guess I could theoretically star them this turn, but I'd much rather draw cards with these treasures than use them to accelerate, I think. So do I just star here now? I think I just star here, right? And I can kill the memorial because I don't have creatures to sacrifice this to pick back up. Enjoy your Deafening Clarion. Nice Chaos Wand. Nobody kills. Sure, you've killed your own creatures. Deal. Our opponent's not played any red cards yet. They must have them for a splash or something. Sure. What's going on, Kane? Good morning. So I can activate this, get a basic with it, and play treasure map this turn, which sounds appealing. This does mean that if I want to use the treasure map, I have to sacrifice a treasure though, but I think I'll just wait. Getting the extra lands here is good. You see Miriam's Azuria's flash deck? I did not. In all honesty, I've been working so much the last few months, I haven't really watched or read that much other people's Magic content. I spent some time over the weekend like watching a couple other streams. That's all I've done recently. We started with Standard today. Mondays for the rest of the month, for the rest of January, are going to be all Standard because I'm going to be on the front page. Starting in 8 minutes, I will be on the front page of Twitch. The go-to best cheap deck in Standard is Mono Blue Tempo. Yep. Can I just pass here? So I've got 6 mana, so I can Spires this and draw cards. That sounds good. Yeah, Twitch is out to get your Modern. And by that I mean, just for context, at 45 minutes into the arena stream today, we had more concurrent viewers than like my peak Modern stream has had for the last month. That's how it goes. Field of Rune's a little bit annoying, but like they only have 1 power creatures in play here, so it's not that big of a deal. Sold a couple of basics left in my deck too. Fuzzy Jello. If your Jello is fuzzy, I would recommend against eating it. Thank you for the Twitch Prime support. I appreciate that. Welcome. Watsy's trying to kill Modern by creating a better format. Is the viewership numbers? And the actual answer is I can't know that, White Ninja. Like I'm not about to play Standard on Magic Online to like try and figure that out. I think it's definitely a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. For combating Grixis control as mono black Banefire, you can board more threats in if you're worried about them poking through your finishers. Honestly, you should be pretty okay against Grixis though. In my experience, that deck's decent against control decks. It's like you top deck pretty well. You have a lot of redundancy. Ixalan's binding. I think I'm just binding their Doom Whisperer here, right? Leon with the host. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. Hope you had a good stream. Welcome to folks coming over from Leon's stream. My name is Jeff Hoagland. We're hanging out playing some Standard on Magic the Gathering Arena here today. We stream Magic here on Twitch, like 5, 6, 7 days a week. At least 5 days a week, usually. I haven't played the Dawn of Hope out. I think I just hold the Dawn of Hope. Like, there's like a 6 in one hand, half dozen in the other type situation by playing the Dawn of Hope out here. And the reason is, in play, it's exposed to them interacting with it via this Chaos Wand. But in my hand, it's exposed to them taking it with a Kitesail Freebooter or a Duress. I definitely think Magic Arena has rightfully ruined most people from being able to watch Magic Online. There's even a lot of my folks who like were my regular viewers for who were my regular viewers for a long time, who watched a ton of Modern content, that just like prefer Arena now too, just because like it's an actual video game and video games are fun. Magic Online is good at rooting itself. You're not wrong. All right, another Compass is sweet. Lets us fog this 6/6. Seal Away. Yeah, Seal Away gets my Kitesail back. Preparing for the Onslaught and topping Beetle for 5 seconds. What's going on, Squid Squad? Thanks for the biddies. Do I start by drawing an extra card here? I think I'm just gonna play these out. I'm gonna go ahead and Seal Away now, so that way if they go to Duress next turn, I get to like play my Revitalize in response. That's true too. The play rate of Magic Online is incredibly slow compared to Magic Arena. The rate at which the games play out on here, mostly because of the auto tapper, is like night and day to watching Magic Online. Sounds good, Squid. Alright, so I take a grand total of 1 here after we Spires this thing. How much for new Standard? Adding Standard decks is only $10 for subs, Nivik. They've announced auto-tapping is coming to Magic Online. No, they announced that they are exploring the idea of bringing the auto-tapper to Magic Online. They do not have any promises. No, it's 25 for build-around submissions, Nivik. So if you have a deck idea built, it's only $10 to add. They keep taking my Deafening Clarions, and it's great. So it's 25 if you want me to do the work. I don't even think it's that the submitted decks dipped in quality for Modern. We're actually playing a lower density of bad decks in Modern than I did historically speaking. It's just Modern has become more brutal as a format as time's gone on. Modern's become less friendly to brews and neat deck ideas. I don't think so, SCTR. You want me to put that in with your sub gifts from today? Interesting that they didn't Memorial to pick this back up. Duress, sure. Sounds good, just let me know. Oh yeah, they definitely had to set one. God, that animation is so good. The animations on the random winged mythics in this application are fantastic. We're really kind of looking for Crucible of Worlds at this point, right? I didn't destroy the Memorial, and that's a good question, because my opponent could activate the Memorial in response to pick up the Midnight Reaper that was already in their discard pile, and that would counter my... That would cause my what's it called to be countered, because it would lose its only target. So I have no reason to attack this in here. Seal Away is a good draw in the face of their dragon that otherwise recurs. We're looking for Haphazard Bombardment and Crucible of Worlds at this point, so that way we can start taking them off of all of their lands. We've, like, successfully done the not die portion of the game, and we're looking to actually end at this point. Last week when we were on the front page, we didn't have any chat issues, because I think a lot of people that watch on the front page are, like, watching passively, so we'll see if that's the same for today. I do still have Invoke the Divine in my deck. Aggressive here. Ever Life Reaper with the brand new Prime support. Welcome, welcome. Good morning. Hope you're having a good start to your week. Happy Monday. Have we seen any red cards? We've not seen any red cards yet. All right, they found a Star of Extinction. Okay. I mean, their Bone Dragon costs 5 to bring back here. So they killed my maze and, like, played a meteor here. But, like, their thing's off the table now, too. Yep. The duress is actually kind of scary here, because they took my Dawn of Hope, and I still have a copy of Invoke the Divine in my deck. So if they Chaos Wand the Invoke the Divine and kill my Dawn of Hope, I might lose the game. Alright, Haphazard Bombardment can potentially protect us here from that, because Haphazard Bombardment is going to kill one of their lands. So if they don't have another 4th land, they won't be able to activate Chaos Wand next turn, which would be ideal. We get to play this and flip it over. Now, I don't think I want to target the wand. I think I'd rather just kill their lands. Let's try and draw or Invoke the Divine here. It's another Bombardment. Rats, I'm short on casting it, though. And they didn't play a land last turn, so we could be in the clear here. Sweet, yep. And they know about the Seal Away, and I have the Spires, so they're pretty unlikely to attack with the 3-1. It just, like, doesn't really serve any purpose. This next Bombardment's probably going to target the wand. And again, at this point, we're in the portion of the game where, like, we've got things locked up. We just need to eventually win. So we're going to go ahead and do both of these, and then Bombardment. And we can target the same thing more than once. I don't really care about their creatures. So this guaranteed kills a land. It maybe kills 2 land. It maybe kills the wand. I love how it roulette wheels to, like, let you know it's scrolling through. Yep, you've got one of my Seal Aways. Welcome to folks that are peeking in from the Twitch front page. This is a game called Magic the Gathering Arena. Magic the Gathering is one of the it's the kind of the OG of card games, and this is their new digital client that released earlier this year. You can install this for free by searching. Does anybody know what's the URL for installing? I actually don't know offhand. I just Google Magic Arena whenever I install a new computer. I'm actually going to decline drawing cards here at this point, because I want to just, like, have enough time. Because remember, we lose the game if we deck out. There's only 18 cards left here. All right, let's star and clear the board and kill this. And we'll go ahead and pass. 4 months of me pro-stylizing green-white value town. The green, what's going on, Chubbs? Thanks for the third of a year. Let's see how bad Rhythm of the Wild can be. Double haste all the things. Sound good. Thanks for the biddies, CTR. Oh, I could have attacked for some points of life. That's true. And this is the slow grind. When you kill all of their lands and they still don't concede, the way we actually win the game at the end is we make a bunch of 1/1s. PSA for Hoglandia. Elenda, the Dusk Rose, has the most elegant animation, which I don't even know what that card is. That one of the legendaries that's an uncommon? Thanks for the 8 months there, Orthar. We gotta decline all these triggers. It's really wild how quickly jumped up there when we went on the front page. Last week, it took a little bit longer to build up because GDQ was going on, so we were competing with that on the front page. Yeah, ideally we would have auto yields and always know from Moto, but for now we just gotta click through. That's kind of a treat when they refuse to give up. You're just like, all right, that's fine. It's very therapeutic as your things slowly thunk into them. It's like boop 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 boop. Get him. Got him. Salty Upring. What do you think of Sanguine Sacrament to prevent decking and life gain early in the game? I don't think you need it. I think I've actually yet to deck out with this deck while playing it. I've gotten close a couple of times and you have to like make the conscious decision to stop drawing cards. But if you're conscious of the matchups that you're playing and like board in extra win cons when you need to board in extra win conditions, I don't think you need something that can prevent you from decking. Feel like if you're conscious of like your role in the matchups, you have the tools. And refusing to draw cards. To be fair, you only refuse to draw cards late because you've drawn so many early, right? This hand's very reasonable. We've got plenty of resources here with our land. Revitalize, if we're playing against an aggro deck, can help us bridge the game to the Cleansing Nova, hopefully. And Pelt Collector on 1 likely means they're playing something aggressive. We'll put a stop here on their end step to activate the Evolving Wilds. Uh-oh. It sounds like Arena has hit a... That's a great showing of Arena, right? When it starts to roboto the audio. Deafening Clarion's a great draw there. Alright, I'm gonna take 30 seconds and kill Arena really quick here. The sponsors love it when Arena robotos the audio. So Arena, I should mention for people that are watching the page, is still in beta, so it has some bugs on occasion. No crashes or anything like that, but one issue I have is after I'm playing for a couple hours, the audio distorts on me like that. So the lighting is sweet. It's interesting. I need some better front lighting at the new place. The only light in this room is up behind me, and I've got some natural light coming in from the left, but hopefully I need to get some soft studio lights from the front. And it does give a great example that Arena reconnects after you have a connection issue very quickly. Believe it or not, Yellow Alien Baby, not all computer... One of the things that makes software complex is that not all issues with software occur on every different system configuration. Different audio cards, different audio drivers, different speakers, all sorts of different stuff can cause issues. Although different speakers and headsets wouldn't cause an issue that y'all could hear. So, Clarion cleans up the board nicely here. Zap all their dorks. Is there a queue for Allegiance decks? Yeah, if you look in my deck queue, there is a bunch of decks listed under New Standard, and those will be standard decks with new cards in them. Which, that's actually going to be starting this week. So Magic's releasing a new set very soon, and it comes to Magic Arena this Thursday. I've not started looking into anything, Admiral. I'm not sure if I'm gonna buy... The lighting in here is, like, fine. It's, like, not great, but it's passable. I think I'm probably gonna wait until I finish the new studio room over the summer to purchase lights. Carnage Tyrant has hexproof, which means we can't Thaumatic Compass it, but I've got the Cleansing Nova lined up, so we're probably good here. At this current point in time, they've not announced any details about releasing on mobile. Honestly, I'd be kind of surprised if Magic ever released on mobile, because unlike games like Hearthstone and games like Eternal and other digital card games that work on mobile, Magic's not really designed with small board states in mind. Even, like, last game, this deck's actually a great example of, like, a deck that would be miserable to play on even a well-designed mobile interface. Or just so many small elements on the board that navigating it, you know, on even, like, a large 6 or 7 inch phone would be incredibly difficult. We have Seal Away here to check their 5/4. So, basically, this deck has 5k people witnessing the beauty that's destroying resources. What's going on, Dougie? Thanks for the biddies. Yeah, maybe a small tablet would be playable. Maybe. It's hard to know for sure. So, this deck basically has 2 modes to it, where the first part of the game that you play is you're just trying to survive, and then once you've kind of stabilized and run them out of cards, we eventually start playing out things like Haphazard Bombardment that destroy all of my opponent's lands to lock them out of being able to redeploy. I think Magic Arena has to release on mobile to be a competitor to others. I disagree with that assessment, Sprawn. I also think that there is a strong argument to that Magic doesn't need to be as big as Hearthstone to be successful. I agree that existing on mobile could make it more popular, but you could also argue that having a bad mobile experience because your game's not designed with mobile in mind is also very detrimental. I think there are people always, whenever I bring up, like, this game won't fit well on a cell phone, most likely, like, people always bring up, they're like, no, I play it on my cell phone all the time. Well, there are definitely some board states that are going to work fine on a phone. But one of the things, again, that makes Magic great is the way that the games scale, and there's a lot of complexity in the games and lots of moving parts, and the big games that get really complicated, those ones are not going to scale onto mobile well. So I think I just double Bombardment here. So I could play the other Bombardment this turn, but it requires to sacrifice my treasure, so maybe that's not worth it, because remember, while the treasures can accelerate our mana, the Treasure Cove lets me turn them into extra cards, and the card advantage is pretty valuable too. We're down to 6 here, but my opponent's deck is mono green, which means they don't have cards like Shock or Lightning Strike that can kill me with haste. Now I have Spires here, so I'm not really worried about the Ripjaw Raptor. I think the Raptor, like, ultimately doesn't matter. We're pretty much at the point of the game where we're gonna lock them out of their lands. Yeah, you couldn't see the Spires. Like, even just look at this board, right? Like, look at how many elements are on the screen right now, just on my side. Could you imagine if my opponent had as many things in play as I did? And this is one of the things that makes Magic a little bit difficult to follow for newer players, is my opponent conceded there even though they were at 20, and that game was over. We were going to take a little bit for our control deck to, like, actually turn the corner and kill them, but my opponent wasn't winning that game anymore. And that can be one of those things that's hard to relay, especially when you're just getting started in Magic and, like, trying to figure out, like, what's going on in the back and forth, like assessing board states and stuff like that. So I think the Immortal Sun is fine to cut because they likely don't have Planeswalkers. They could have, like, Vivian Reed, but I have Star of Extinction to clear that out if they do have access to it. I definitely want the extra copies of Seal Away because they have aggressive creatures that are pushing our health total early. I need to trim 3 cards here. It's very possible that Revitalize is just a little bit too slow and clunky. Maybe these Fight with Fires are silly though too. They do have like the 4/5 Dino, but killing the 4/5 Dino with Fight with Fire lets them draw a card. I think I'm not going to bring that in. I'm going to trim a Revitalize. They're probably bringing in Brontodon, but like at the same time, if you look at my deck, they're not like this is a deck that can blank Brontodon. So if you're not blanking the Brontodon, you might as well leave all your enchantments in because you're basically going to overload it. Is MTG the only popular CCG that has sideboarding? I don't play other games. I believe so. A lot of the other card games that have popped up have basically been trying to copy and paste everything Hearthstone does to mimic Hearthstone's success. And one of the things that Hearthstone does really well is play fast games, which it's hard to get lots of fast games in if you're playing best of 3. This hand's fine. Not amazing, but fine. It needs a 3rd land, but we're on the draw, so we're pretty likely to find it. The Eternal Tournament series does sideboardings, but from my understanding, does their application actually support sideboarding? Or is it something awkward that the players do manually? Hey, goalie with the sub gifties. Thank you very much for the generosity. I appreciate it. Hitting the Revitalize here is like kind of okay. It's not a land drop, but it lets us draw an extra card, which gives us an extra chance to hit our resource. Alright, my opponent's missing their 3rd land drop as well here. Good chance my deck has more lands than theirs. We're a little bit more controlling. So we are going to brick off here, but that's fine because the opponent's stumbling too. I could seal this away, but it's only a 1/1, so I think I just want to sit here and use my health total as a resource. Especially since I have the Fountain of Renewal sitting here gaining us stuff. Like, there's really... Because my deck has so many sweepers in it, generally speaking, you don't mind leaving a creature in play, because it gives you more value out of your sweepers later. Estimation on how many games I'm going to play with this today. No, I usually play decks for a set amount of time, so I'm probably going to be playing this deck for the next, I don't know, 45 minutes or so, and then we'll switch to the next one. Usually I play each deck for about 90 minutes or so. So, if you are a card game player or someone who's interested in Magic, you haven't stopped by my channel before, a lot of the decks that I play are viewer submissions, so people send in their deck ideas, and then we play them on stream and give feedback on them. Usually I play each deck for about 90 minutes. So, if you see all those weird things that have a lot of Magic jargon in them, like Grixis midrange and Sultai midrange and Green-White Explorer, those are names of future deck lists that we're going to be playing on today's stream later on. SCTR doling out more sub-gift runes. Thank you very much. Welcome. So we really want to hit a land drop naturally this turn, so that way I can play this Cleansing Nova to kill the Brontodon. How much does it cost for a deck submission? For subscribers to my channel, it is $10 to add a standard deck to the queue. For non-subscribers, it's $20. For people who are bad at math, that means it's cheaper to subscribe and add 1 deck than it is to pay $20, but who am I to tell you how to spend your money? I just like to give you options. Silken, thank you very much for the brand new Prime support. Welcome. There's a lot of great people making a lot of great stuff on Twitch right now. Thanks for supporting mine this month with that. Really want them to tap out here so I can clean this up. Alright, we hit the land naturally. I'm gonna play this out. I think I want a Clarion to kill both of these. Sounds good, Tobin. And if you want sweet, how many deck submissions per day do I do? I usually play somewhere between 6 and 8 decks per day. I stream between 8 and 9 hours a day usually. 5 to 6 days a week. Perfect, Nivik. Thank you for the support. I'd be happy to get that added. It is a lot of Magic. This is my full-time job. I stream full-time here on Twitch. I'm here, you know, 40, 50 hours a week or so. So let's just get behind. What if you play a deck while I'm not able to watch it? So everything that's a good self-plug for myself. Thanks for the lead in. Everything that I stream on this channel gets archived to my YouTube channel afterwards. So youtube.com/Jeff Hoagland, and I cut everything up on my YouTube channel by deck name, so you can easily filter and find the decks that you care about. Undergrowth was the deck that we just played. Your stream title might not have updated if you were on mobile. Really, they're killing my Bombardment. Okay, this is sweet. So Bombardment, especially since I have 2 more in my hand, is a really sweet card because they work together. So even though the Bombardment dies here, it still places the counters on my opponent's lands, which means the next Bombardment can blow these lands up. Great, so they found their 4th land here. I think at this point, my opponent has missed land drops long enough that they're probably not going to get out from under my setup here. So, like, they finally hit their 4th land, and, like, this deck's really good at punishing people who have stumbled, because, like, they finally hit their 4th land, but now it's, like, destroy your 4th land, kill your board. What are the scores in the deck queue? The scores in the deck queue are a combination of how much someone donated to see the deck plus how much time the deck's been waiting in the queue. So if you want to see your deck played sooner, you can donate extra money to get it played sooner. Or alternatively, you can add it for the minimum amount and then it waits in the queue until it collects a point per day and gets to the top of the list. So the points are $1 per point or 1 day per point. And there's all the details on how to submit decks and like how the queue works and stuff like that can be found on my website, along with a live version of the queue to see what decks are coming up. So my opponent packed it in there because even though we weren't going to be attacking them anytime soon, we were pretty close to locking them out of the game. We had counters on their lands, they didn't have any creatures in play to pressure or health total, and even if they did, we had the Spires there. JVL, 6.5k front page hype indeed. Thank you for the 4-month resub. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me employed here. Thanks, Tobin. I appreciate it. What's the most points a deck has gotten? Usually about 100. If you look at the deck queue, like standard decks usually get played at about 25 to 30 points, and modern decks usually get played. The modern queue moves a little bit slower because Magic Online's a lot slower, so we don't play it as much. Modern decks usually get played at 50 to 60 points. Did I code my own website? I maintain my own website, but it's just a WordPress. WordPress is really easy to get things set up with. Do I have a couple of new decks brewing for the new? We got a bunch of sweet ideas. So another thing that I do on stream too is that people, instead of submitting a specific deck list, they can submit a deck idea, and then I will build the deck for them. So for the upcoming set, a bunch of people have submitted just raw deck ideas, and I've been building a bunch of different things that you can actually see in the deck queue under the new standard format. This matchup's going to be tough for us game 1. So my opponent is playing red, white, and blue, which we refer to as Jeskai in Magic jargon, and they actually had the 2-mana counterspell to counter my Dawn of Hope there, which is one of only 2 win conditions I have game 1, so it's very possible that my opponent could just run us out of win conditions game 1. How much time have I spent building decks since the full spoiler? A good bit, actually. We had, like, over a dozen built-around deck submissions, so I spent most of the weekend that I wasn't unpacking boxes at the new house, building deck lists. So the problem with milling them out as a win con is that our deck tends to draw more cards than most other decks, so we generally deck first. Yeah, the deck queue page on my website can be found here, bit.ly/deck queue for short. They're up there with title, how many points they have, and we'll start playing decks in the new format on Thursday.
Well, let's see what the wind blows in.
I usually do my best to explain a good deal, but it definitely, especially when we have new people in here that might not be familiar with Magic at all, add a little bit of extra jargon. We topped out at 4,700 last Monday, so we're a little bit higher today, I assume, because GDQ is no longer going on. GDQ is really big, so it's hard to top that. That's true. Ral could help mill them. Honestly, this might be a game where we're far enough behind game one. In fact, I'm just going to go ahead and concede here. And again, this is one of the things, like, hard to follow from Magic, is that, like, neither of us are pressuring each other on the board here. But my opponents assembled so much advantage in the planeswalkers that they have in play that it's pretty unlikely for me to be able to surmount that and be able to get back into the game. So both my opponent's deck is very similar to mine in that it's not playing a lot of creatures, it's playing a lot of controlling elements. So post-board, we get to change my deck in between games here, and I'm going to cut all of these cards that interact with creatures to bring in cards that are better against my opponent who's mostly creatureless. So that's one of the great things about Magic that adds a lot of depth to the game, is that it offers this best of 3 mode, where even if your deck doesn't line up well against something in the first game that you play, you get to pivot how your deck is built and then try and win the next 2 games. They will bring in War Boss, potentially. Some of these decks have War Boss, but not all of them. Yeah, History of Benalia is there as an extra threat in the control matchup. Well, if they have 5/5 Angels, I boarded in Fight with Fire, Banefire, and I still have Star of Extinction and Compass, so I really don't care about their Angels. The difference between the lighting a few days ago and today, and most days it's going to look like this, is there's natural light coming in through the window over here. So the other day I was streaming in the evening, so there wasn't natural light coming in. It's been a while since I've touched that SCTR. I'm not sure if the current formatting of their website works with it still. I haven't played much Paper, so I haven't had a reason to update it. So I have no idea if it works. I think if I recall, it has a bug with formatting events that are team tournaments because of the way it reads it off of there. So we get to flip the treasure map next turn. So the treasure map card here lets us scry 3 times, which kind of lets us stack our deck. So it lets us look at the top card and then decide if we want it or not. And then eventually it flips and lets us draw cards if our opponent isn't a big meanie and kills it. Honestly, though, Invoke the Divine hitting our treasure map's kind of a win for us in a way, because we have so many high-powered artifacts and enchantments in our deck, and that one's not too important. What card in Allegiance am I most excited about? Probably Frilled Mystic. I'm a sucker for cards with flash. So here's a really small thing that can give you a lot of legs up in these control-style matchups. So you'll notice my opponent is missing land drops. I could play this Haphazard Bombardment, and, like, if it resolves, target their lands and start blowing it up. But my opponent's very likely to have a counter spell in their hand to stop what I'm doing because they're not playing lands. And if they're not playing lands, that means they have spells in their hand. So you'll see here, my opponents missed yet another land drop, which meant they had to discard. So this is what we refer to as virtual card advantage in Magic, which is my opponent's down a card, and it didn't cost me a card to have them end up being down a card. So I basically drew or gained advantage there by simply not doing anything. So they hit their land and they played Teferi here. Thankfully, I have this Banefire, which says if X is 5 or more, it can't be countered. So Banefire is just a really flexible card in these matchups because it's an uncounterable way to kill their planeswalkers, but it's also a finisher in the late game once we have a bunch of lands in play.
Hey, that was uncalled.
You get punished pretty bad if they chemist. That's not true at all, Ghost PvP. If I do nothing and they Chemister's Insight there, they likely have to discard maybe even 2 cards the following turn, which gives me virtual card advantage yet again. So now they have a second Teferi going here, which means that we could be in a little bit of trouble because this lets them untap their lands after they play it. So they could have a counterspell here. I think I lead on Star of Extinction because I'd much rather Ixalan's Binding resolve than Star of Extinction resolve. The upside to Ixalan's Binding, though, is that I could play a second spell this turn with it. So there could be merit to leading on Treasure Map here to try and bait the counterspell. Because if they counter this, Ixalan's Binding then gets to resolve, which is nice. And if they don't counter this, I have a treasure map in play. So this is a pretty appealing card to want to counterspell for my opponent because it is going to generate card advantage for me. And they took the bait here, so hopefully we get to take the Teferi. If they had a Spell Pierce there, we could have gotten punished, but I think it's right to sequence them this way. If the counter Syncopate, I get punished for it being Syncopate, but Syncopate's a lot less popular than the other counterspell options. So I've got Arch of Orazca. Lets us draw extra cards if I hit the City's Blessing. So City's Blessing means I have to have 10 things in play. So one more thing lets me hit the Blessing. So I could jam the Haphazard Bombardment here. I feel like I'm at the head to the Space Jam portion of the game. They're going to counter this. So because my deck doesn't have counter spells or discard spells in it, the way I play through my opponent's disruption is to just jam into it. And eventually we overwhelm it by having enough cards that they have to answer. So I think it's right to jam there. Wow, they have another Invoke the Divine? They have Blink of the Eye. Okay, that's very good. So that sends the Ixalan's Binding back to my hand here and gets them their Teferi back. The overlay is amazing. Is it open source? I don't believe so. Wait, actually, it might be. There's definitely a Deckmaster source on GitHub. I think it might actually be. All right, well, let's lead on Ixalan's Binding since they know about that. Actually, do I delete on that or do I lead on Star? They're obligated to counter. The problem with the Teferi being in play here, I'm going to lead on Binding, actually, because once they counter this, hopefully History of Benalia can resolve, and then the tokens from History of Benalia can pressure the Teferi to hopefully eventually kill it. And if they have two counters here, then maybe our Star of Extinction will resolve next turn. Well, rotation for Magic's not happening for a long time. Magic standard format only rotates... Whoa! SCTR doling out the big gifties. Thank you very much. 7,000 viewers, we need more shovels. Well, for those of you that were gifted a sub there from SCTR, the shovels are in the shed over there. Feel free to start digging. Thank you very much for your absurd generosity, SCTR. You're the best. So pretty easy attack here. So is it worth it to jam the Star here to get the Teferi off the table even though it kills my knights? I almost feel like it might be. The alternative is I can just sit here and activate the Arch of Orazca to just like generate some card advantage and get ahead that way. Slim Jam with the brand new Prime support. Welcome, welcome. Thanks for keeping me employed here this month with that. Yeah, they could wipe on their turn. Yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and do this because I could hit something else I want to play this turn. I already attacked. Teferi got knocked to 4. I think there could be, if they have a sweeper, they're probably playing it this turn. Remember, this is post-board as well, though, and there's a good chance that my opponent, like we, also boarded out a lot of their sweepers. They have to cut something to bring in the extra counterspells that they have. Hey, Arano, thank you very much for the 7-month resub. I appreciate that. Welcome, welcome, welcome back. And Fuzzy Thanos with the 7 months as well. Thanks, folks. I appreciate it. There's a lot of great people making a lot of great stuff on Twitch. Thanks for shipping your Prime this way. I think there's a good chance that they don't have sweepers in their deck. And if they just left in some spot removal, it's probably Seal Away. Which is one of the reasons why boarding in History out of our sideboard is such a good plan in matchups like this. Because they want to cut cards generally that are like good against these things. Someone wish upon a star to make this a real esport. They did leave in Subtle Wreckage. Awkward. I do have double Star of Extinction here. So this gets us 2 lands out of our deck, even though it gets rid of our stuff. We are a half hour into our front page spotlight. So we'll see. We could end up going a little bit higher. Mageologist, thank you very much for the brand new Prime support. Welcome, welcome. So, destroy random land, but this also kills Teferi because it deals 20 damage to Planeswalkers as well. You do have the Ionize. Not too surprised to see a counterspell happen there. My opponent's sitting on a grip full of cards, so some amount of them are more disruption. Hopefully the second Star of Extinction will be able to resolve next turn. Legion War Boss. All right, well now we really need this thing to resolve because they did a similar thing to us, which was they boarded in more threats. All right, if this doesn't resolve, I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the next one. We're gonna get just buried by the Legion War Boss. All right, Chemist's Insight's good for us here. It means they're digging for an answer and they don't have one yet, potentially. Or they could just be playing with their food. They could just be playing with their food. Woo! All right. So you're saying there's a chance. That's all I need, really. Take a chance on me. I did tap the Arc. I guess I could have drawn a card here. I wanted to get my Evolving Wilds and like thin the last land out of my deck, but it's probably better to just draw. Thanks, Dude Rams. Yeah, it's fun. It's a good time. They could have a third Teferi. They're through 33 cards in their deck, right? So like the chance of them having a third Teferi is like non-zero here. It's not that outside of the statistical average for them to have a third Teferi. Well, that's terrifying. Am I getting expansion killed? I think we're getting Fight with Fire and expansion killed. Yeah, we are. All right, good games, opponent. So they have a combo kill of sorts in their deck. This Fight with Fire card lets them deal 10 damage to something if they pay 9 mana, and then expansion lets them copy the spell. So this does 10 damage and 10 damage, which is like one hit KOs us. Not a whole lot we can really do about that because our deck doesn't have counter spells or discard spells. Really don't have a ton of counterplay except killing them faster, and we really don't kill people quickly with this deck. Boneless Wing Benerking. How many times have we played the deck? What's going on? Thanks for the 11 months. Welcome back. We're going to play one more with this, I think, and then move on to Grixis mid-range. Mid-range is an archetype that's a little bit easier to explain to newer players because it's a little bit more tangible to see creatures on the board smacking into the opponent to, like, understand the game state and who's winning and why. So we're kind of playing Land Destruction Burgle. There isn't really a concise way to name this deck to describe everything that it does. This is really a red-white control deck powered by sweepers that, like, eventually locks the game up with Land Destruction. The new house is wonderful. The biggest upgrade is that when I'm streaming now, I have an extra bedroom to set my stream up in. So in my previous house, I like occupied what was the family room in the basement. So when I was streaming, the kids like had to stay off an entire floor of the house. I wonder if Arena will have commander games. I'd be pretty surprised if multiplayer ever came to Arena. I think if Brawl doesn't completely die out, we might see Brawl on Arena at some point. We have a door and it has a lock. Opponent mulligan to 5. Brawl isn't dead yet. It's hard to tell, really. The office that Bezo Bucks half built. Yep. So there's actually an unfinished room in my basement to my right that over the summer I'm going to be finishing into a professional studio with the help of my father. And when we do that, I think we're gonna build some kind of plaques or something into the walls and put the names of all the Hoaglandia crowns on it, the people that have cheered a lot of bits and donated a lot of dollars and sub gifts, because they're quite literally the folks that have built that room, that will have built that room. You don't blend in, Nivik. Come on now, we know who you are. Yeah, we got you. Compass is not bad here. So my opponent appears to be playing blue-red Drakes, which is a low total threat density deck, but their individual threats tend to be very powerful as they play more instants and sorceries. That means if I can survive to get 7 lands in play, these compasses will be very potent because each compass locks off a Drake. Will there be a VOD Master Section 2? I do not know. Need to think of all the fun things we can do. Christy's going to be designing whatever we're going to immortalize the crowns on. Right, so now we have 4 mana, which means I can activate the Compass and activate Treasure Map every turn. Compass is just like subtly one of the best cards about this deck, because once we get it in play for 2 mana, we activate it for 3 every turn and just get to continue hitting all of our land drops. And in a more controlling deck like this, it's very critical that we hit our resources consistently, so that way we can actually play all our spells out on time. SCTR, you'll definitely be up there already. I'm gonna count the people with sub gifts too, and PayPal donations and all that jazz. Oh, this is a missequence on my part. So I should have used the Compass before I used the map there, because now I'm just shuffling the card I scribed. Am I going to Indy next weekend? I'm not sure. I don't think so, but I'm not 100%. Seal Away is great here. Gets to just exile the Drake. I'm gonna play another Compass out here and then flip this over, because the 3rd time we scry, this flips over into a land, and Treasure Map subtly has synergy with the Thaumatic Compass, because the Compass transforms into the Spires when we have 7 lands in play, and Treasure Map transforming basically lets us have 7 lands on turn 6, which is nice. Welcome back, Dwight. Yeah, you'll be up there too, Vortex. Don't worry. And it's not going to be till the summer, though. We're going to finish something. Although maybe we'll get the... Seal Away is actually probably pretty good here, right? The opponent's deck just has such low threat density that, like, having a lot of premium answers like this is pretty powerful. So, these are going to transform this turn, but I think I want to go ahead and activate them just to thin these lands out of my deck before they transform. We are on the front page today, so every Monday through the rest of the month, we're going to be on the front page from 10 a.m. Central Standard Time till noon. So another hour or so. Thanks, Mr. Lifeguard. I know games like Magic can be tough to grab new people with, so I like to do what I can, especially when I know we're going to have more new people here. Did Justin abandon us since we play more Standard now? No, Justin and Anna and Nivik are all still around. Is the front page thing a Tempest Storm benefit, or was that was already in the works, Jin? So when my stream stuff started ramping up to turn into a full-time income, my Twitch partner reached out about getting me on a list. Watsy stole my money, subscribed with Twitch Prime. Well, thanks for sending some of your fun bucks this way. I'm sorry Watsy stole your money. Let's be honest, doesn't Magic take all of our monies? You're not wrong. The Deckmaster extension definitely helps a lot. Alright, Immortal Sun coming down here is going to give us a lot of card advantage. So, we've survived the early game, so that basically means at this point, we're looking for our bombardments and our Dawn of Hope, so we can actually start closing the game out. Bombardment, while it doesn't actually kill the opponent, will destroy a bunch of their lands, which gives us a way to lock them out of playing more things. This Diff Visit's kind of scary here. This card says whenever they draw a card, they get to deal damage to something. Whenever they cast a spell, they draw a card. So if they have a counter spell like a Disdainful Stroke or a Negate for this Cleansing Nova, we're going to be in a lot of trouble. So let's lead on this and see what happens. When I cast this Cleansing Nova, my opponent's Niv does trigger. So even if this works, the Niv has drawn them at least a card. So it's one of the reasons why Niv is so powerful is it basically always ends up card neutral. Unless your opponent has like a Planeswalker or an enchantment that can kill it. They have a Spell Pierce? Okay. So I can pay for this Spell Pierce because Spell Pierce only counters my spell if I can't pay 2. But my opponent casts the Spell Pierce, which lets them draw a card with Niv out. So this is taxing our resources a little bit, and it lets them draw a card and deal a damage. If they have triple Spell Pierce here, I can still pay for it because I have my treasures over here. Ended up being okay. Gonna go ahead and play the Memorial to War tapped and pass the turn here. Yeah, Vivian Reed and Eldest Reborn are both great answers. Opponent again packing it in because we have a grip full of cards. They likely don't have enough threats to play through them. So Fight with Fire, Excellence Binding, Banefire. My sweepers like Deafening Clarion are not fantastic here because a lot of my opponent's threats have more than 3 toughness, which makes Clarion much worse. That being said, Seal Away is pretty reasonable because they do just have single individual threats that are generally tapping when they attack outside of Izzet. So I need to cut 3 more cards here. Immortal Sun's actually kind of clunky in this matchup. While this card does let us draw 2 cards per turn, its primary use is it turns off opposing Planeswalkers, and the opponent's deck doesn't have a lot of Planeswalkers. Did we play this every day last week? Almost every day. Deck's been really popular. The Crucible of Worlds is for our eventual lockout with Memorial to War. Eventually you destroy every land your opponent has in play. This hand's okay. It needs some more lands. I don't know how I feel about this. I think it's a keep on the draw. If I hit the 3rd land, my Thaumatic Compass means I'm going to hit the rest of my lands. But if my opponent has a really fast start, like a turn 3 Enigma Drake, I'm going to get behind because I don't have a Seal Away or another way to answer it until later. Eventually the Compass flips to answer it, but that's not until like turn 6 or 7. Hitting the 3rd land here is fantastic. What's going on? Full on tilt? Yeah, it's a good Monday morning in the neighborhood. Potentially, the problem with adding a Memorial to Glory to this deck is that this deck already plays a lot of tapped lands between Evolving Wilds and Memorial to War, and the more tapped lands you put into your deck, the slower you're going to be and the more tempo loss you're going to have against other things. So they countered our Compass, which could hurt our ability to make land drops, but Field of Ruin alongside Crucible of Worlds gives us a way to continually make land drops too, because I get to field them here, which puts the field in my bin, and then replay the field from my discard pile with the Crucible. Hit them where it hurt the most, go for the lands. What's going on, Scrum? Thanks for the half a year, and thanks for resubbing at the very generous tier 2 level. Welcome back. Remember, my tier 2 subs get to bump something in the queue every month, so be sure to take a peek there. Let me know what you'd like to bump up. Do I need to... No, it's in there, Gorks. It was probably combined with some other things for the same deck. There were also a couple of people who contributed things for generic archetypes that, like, fit into what you were doing. So if you look, I believe it's towards the top. Yeah, red-green monsters. I think it was, like, the 3rd or 4th one in New Standard. The Field of Ruin deck is kind of funny. This deck is really cheeky. This isn't a matchup where you want a second Crucible of Worlds, whereas the counter-spell-based matchups are the ones where you tend to want another Crucible of Worlds, or the ones with discard spells. So blue-black-based control decks, Jeskai control, things like that are where the second Crucible tends to come in. It is worth noting here, I'm glad we found the Compass this turn, because we actually can't Field of Ruin any of their basic lands. This explicitly destroys non-basics, and they only have 6 basics in play. I don't think I want to play Bombardment in here. I think I'm just going to go ahead and activate the Compass this turn. You're fine, Gorks. Thanks for the support. Go ahead and hit this. Our Arc here is going to be active here soon, too. I might just start jamming into their stuff. At the same time, doesn't feel like half a year. Justin C., thank you for the 6 months. Welcome back. I'm actually going to activate the Compass this turn, and again, the reason for this is flipping the Compass isn't optional, so the game will see that I have 7 lands in play and then force me to flip it. So I want to get the extra land on my deck before that happens. I have to discard a card to hand size here, though, but I guess I have the Crucible, so discarding the Mountain is fine. What deck do I think is the most consistent in Standard? I actually think the opponent's Drake's deck is pretty consistent. It plays a lot of cantrips. What's going on, the Rex? The pun and only with the brand new tier 1 sub. Welcome, welcome. Thanks for supporting my content here. What would I be doing as a career if I wasn't a Magic personality? I have a master's degree in mathematics. I've also done a number of small software development projects. I contribute to a couple of different open source things. So probably something with math or software if I wasn't streaming for folks online. So that land gives me the City's Blessing, and it's also my 6, 7, 8, 9. So these Banefires are currently dealing 8. Well, I don't necessarily want to field them super aggressively, Tom. I was only fielding them earlier so I could guarantee make land drops. Sweet. All right, Bombardment resolved. So Bombardment targets 4 things, and then at the end of every turn, it blows up one of those things at random. So this card is basically a triple land destruction effect. This is one of the ways where, once we've stopped their early plays, if they had them, we locked them out of the game. The Git Frog Monster. I've been subbed longer than 3. Excited for the culmination when it comes out. Well, thank you for the Prime support. I really appreciate that. Welcome back. I mean, I definitely love what I'm doing here, Stu. I wouldn't be here. If I preferred software and math to this, I would definitely be doing one of those instead. Yeah, eventually we're just gonna make all of our land drops and then double Banefire them. I have the Spires of Orazca or Kaza, however you pronounce this, in play here as well, so this Drake doesn't really bother me. I'm gonna go ahead and play another Bombardment out here. And then the Bombardments team up and kill 2 things per turn, which is great. I'm explicitly targeting their basic lands as opposed to their Sulfur Falls, because Sulfur Falls is the only land they have in play that I can target with my Field of Rune. Boop. Would you rather do software / math for a living, or would you rather blow up people's lands? It's pronounced Oregon, Arizona, California. Got it. It broke 8K. That's wild. SCTR doling out more sub-giftaroonies. You're crazy. Thank you for the support. Enjoy the shovels, folks. Enjoy your wonderful emotes. And new subs, make sure you pop into the subs Discord. Get your accounts linked up there. Stunami with the brand new tier 1 sub. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Welcome, welcome. We are on the front page this morning. We'll be on the front page for another hour. I mean, it'd be wild if we break 5 digits of viewers. Never been anywhere close to that. Last week on the front page, I set my record at 4,700. Okay, so they have dived down here to force this through. That being said, like, I'm at 21, so, like, we're still pretty healthy here. And next turn, I'm honestly probably going, well, we've got a Seal Away. Let's start with Seal Away. If they have a negate, this is probably getting negated to protect their threat. So let's see if they take the bait. They have a dive down, so it's not quite as good for us. Loving the standard decks. Kooky Baker, thank you very much for the Prime support. So I've got 7 lands total, so... The problem here with casting Star of Extinction is my opponent could Spell Pierce it, so I think I'd like to play around Spell Pierce and try and kill this with Cleansing Nova. So, if they have Negate or Disdainful Stroke, they could counter my Nova. And again here, like, at the end of the turn, these Bombardments are going to kill 2 more of their lands. So, like, the chokehold is slowly closing in on them here. Every turn, they have fewer and fewer resources to work with. What are your thoughts on Growth Chamber Guardian? I honestly don't know what the rules text on that card is without looking it up. I didn't field them this turn because it would expose my Cleansing Nova to a Spell Pierce, but I guess I could have left field up here. How are we doing, folks? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever you're at in the world. Thanks for dropping by here today. My name is Jeff Hoagland. I stream Magic full-time here on Twitch. I'm here 30, 40, 50 hours a week. We play a ton of Standard here on Magic Arena. We also play some of Magic's older formats like Modern and Legacy on Magic Online. If you find yourself enjoying my content, please consider subscribing to my channel. My subscribers are the people that keep me employed here full-time. I wouldn't be here day in and day out without their wonderful support. By subscribing, you can also support my stuff by checking out some of my very wonderful sponsors. The Nerd Rage Gaming Championship Series is a $5,000 cash tournament series that happens every single month in the Midwestern United States. If you can't make it out to the Midwestern United States, they also stream coverage of their events every single month at twitch.tv/NRG series. Neo provides wonderful candy-flavored protein bars using code HOGLIN at bit.ly/HOGLBAR. You can save 10% on all of your orders there with them. BCW Supplies would love to help you protect your very valuable Magic the Gathering cards using code Jeff10 at bcwsupplies.com. You can save 10% on your orders of sleeves, deck box, and all sorts of other fantastic stuff there with them. And of course, we'd like to welcome everyone out there to Hoaglandia. I know there's a lot of great people making a lot of great stuff on Twitch right now, and I appreciate you stopping in to check us out here today. Remember, if you are enjoying the content, to hit that follow button. Following the stream doesn't cost you anything. It lets you know when I go live and with what. We're going to call that a wrap on the Land Destruction deck here for today. This deck's a total hoot. If you're a Magic player who wants to see more of this, be sure you check out my my website and my YouTube channel. Everything I stream gets cut up and put on there, and I break them all up by decks. So you can watch just the stuff that you care about. Up next, we're going to be rolling into a